DC sniper attacks were a stark reminder that evil still exists in our world and must be confronted and defeated. We must never forget the victims of this senseless act of violence, and must remain ever vigilant to protect our communities. Barack Obama. Sadly, crime has always been a constant part of the human experience. The deviant and the conformist are products of the same culture and imagination, respectively. We can all turn into something horrible. Each civilization produces the criminals it deserves. The most cunning of all criminals, seductive and cunning, they destroy lives and betray confidence while still remaining a complete mystery. The Washington Beltway was paralyzed by a string of sniper shootings in October 2002, turning otherwise tranquil gas stations, parking lots, dining establishments, and schoolyards into bloody battlefields. 10 people were killed and numerous others were injured after the shooting spree. The perpetrators were John Allen Muhammad, age 41, and Lee Boyd Malvo, age 17. They were also relatives. The court asked social worker Carmeta Alvarez, who had been called in by the judge to join Malvo's defense team, to look for any information that would lessen the teen's impending death sentence. Alvarez interviewed Malvo's parents, siblings, relatives, teachers, and acquaintances while frequently visiting Malvo's home country of Jamaica and Antigua. What she discovered was the tale of a previously bright and talented young guy who became estranged from his birth parents and in need of assistance and direction due to frequent violence and desertion. Instead of finding a father figure, Malvo discovered John Muhammad, a veteran of the First Gulf War who used a cunningly effective program of indoctrination, sniper training, and racial hatred to purposely mold the prodigious youngster into a vengeful, raving assassin who had no sympathy for his victims. This personal and meticulously researched story by Alvarez describes the terrible nature of Malvo's devotion to his indoctrination, his supposed hero father, and his ensuing alienation. She describes how she assisted in freeing Malvo from Muhammad's psychological control, which resulted in a dramatic courtroom encounter with the man who used and abused him. Jonathan H. Mack, a psychologist, identifies and examines the clinical, psychological, and behavioral processes that underlie Malvo's disassociation and move toward a serial-killing violence. The writers highlight the value of parental attachment and the necessity of loving interactions during the formative years of early childhood development in this tragic story. By carefully analyzing how Lee Boyd Malvo's early years influenced his subsequent development, they aim to increase awareness and promote prevention among parents, social workers, and members of the neighborhood. How it all started. October 2002 was the beginning of what seemed like the longest 3 weeks in the Washington metropolitan area. No one wanted to believe that what was happening would change the lives of thousands. What appeared to be a random killing spree by an enraged lunatic turned out to be part of a massive plan that claimed the lives of 10 innocent people in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. When these shootings first began, they were believed to be linked to a white van or truck. It was later discovered that these shootings were being carried out by a man named John Allen Muhammad and his teenage accomplice, Lee Boyd Malvo, in a blue 1990 Chevrolet Caprice sedan. The first killing. At 5:20 p.m. on October 2, 2002, a victimless shot was fired through a window of Michael's craft store in Aspen Hill. About an hour later, at 6:30 p.m., James Martin, a 55-year-old program analyst at NOAA, was shot and killed in the parking lot of a Shoppers Food Warehouse grocery store located in Glenmont. Just the beginning. On the morning of October 3rd, 4 people were shot within a span of approximately 2 hours in Aspen Hill and other nearby areas in Montgomery County. Another was killed that evening in the District of Columbia, just over the border of Silver Spring. In each shooting, the victims were killed by a single bullet fired from some distance. The pattern was not detected until after the shootings occurred on October 3rd. Fear quickly spread throughout the community as news of the shootings circulated. Many parents went to pick up their children at school early, not allowing them to take a school bus or walk home alone. Montgomery County and District of Columbia schools declared a lockdown with no recess or outdoor gym classes. Other school districts in the area also took precautionary measures, keeping students indoors. At this point, Malvo and Muhammad started covering a wider area and taking more time between shootings. The snipers relentlessly pursued their killing spree until October 23rd. Captured. While no shootings occurred on October 23rd, the day is significant for two reasons. First, ballistics experts confirmed the 10th fatality in the Beltway shootings. Second, in a yard in Tacoma, Washington, police searched for bullets, shell casings, or other evidence that might provide a link to the shooters. A tree stump believed to have been used for target practice was seized. The incident came to a close on October 24th, when Muhammad and Malvo were found sleeping in their car at a rest stop off of Interstate 70 near Myersville, Maryland, and subsequently arrested on federal weapons charges. Police were tipped off by Ron Lance, who noticed the parked car. 4 hours earlier, Chief Moose had relayed his cryptic message to the sniper. "You have indicated that you want us to do and say certain things. You have asked us to say we have caught the sniper like a duck in a noose. We understand that hearing us say this is important to you." Moose asked the media to carry the message accurately and often. This mysterious and arguable reference to a Cherokee fable has never been properly investigated or explained by the media. Lance used his truck to block the exit from the rest stop while he alerted the police. A Bushmaster .223 caliber weapon and bipod were found in a bag in Muhammad's car. Ballistics tests later conclusively linked the seized rifle to 11 of the 14 shootings, including one in which no one was injured. John Allen Muhammad. On November 17, 2003, by verdict of his jury, Muhammad was convicted in Virginia on all 4 counts in the indictment against him: capital murder for the shooting of Dean H. Myers, a second charge of capital murder under Virginia's anti-terrorism statute, homicide committed with an intent to terrorize the government or the public at large, conspiracy to murder, and the illegal use of a firearm. The jury unanimously recommended that Muhammad be sentenced to death. On March 9, 2004, a Virginia judge sentenced John Allen Muhammad to death. On November 10, 2009, Muhammad was executed by lethal injection and pronounced dead at 9:11 p.m. He declined final words and also to have his last meal published. It is said that it was chicken and red sauce and some cakes. The real plan, as told by Lee Boyd Malvo. In Muhammad's May 2006 trial in Montgomery County, Maryland, Malvo took the stand and confessed to a more detailed version of the pair's plans. Malvo, after extensive counseling, admitted that he was lying in the statement that he made after his arrest, when he admitted to being the triggerman for every shooting. Malvo claimed that he had said this in order to protect Muhammad from the death penalty, because it was more difficult to achieve the death penalty for a minor. Malvo stated, "I'm not proud of myself, I'm just trying to make amends," expressing his regret in the shootings. In his 2 days of testimony, Malvo outlined detailed aspects of all the shootings. Part of his testimony concerned Muhammad's complete, multi-phase plan. His plan consisted of 3 phases in the DC and Baltimore metro areas. Phase 1 consisted of meticulously planning, mapping, and practicing their locations around the DC area. This way, after each shooting, they would be able to quickly leave the area on a predetermined path and move on to the next location. Muhammad's goal in Phase 1 was to kill 6 white people a day for 30 days. Malvo went on to describe how Phase 1 did not go as planned, due to heavy traffic and the lack of a clear shot and/or getaway at different locations. Phase 2 was meant to be moved up to Baltimore. Malvo described how this phase was close to being implemented, but was never carried out. Phase 2 was intended to begin by killing a pregnant woman by shooting her in the stomach. The next step would have been to shoot and kill a Baltimore police officer. At the officer's funeral, there were to be created several improvised explosive devices. These explosives were intended to kill a large number of officers. Phase 3 was to take place very shortly after, if not during, Phase 2. The third phase was to extort several $millions from the US government. This money would be used to finance a larger plan, to travel north into Canada and recruit other effectively orphaned boys to use as weapons in stealth and send them out to commit shootings across the country. Lee Boyd Malvo. Malvo was initially arrested under federal charges, but they were dropped. He was transferred to Virginia and sent to jail in Fairfax County, charged for 2 capital crimes and the unlawful use of a firearm under the FBI analyst Linda Franklin. Malvo confessed that he intended to kill them all. The trial was moved to the city of Chesapeake in southeastern Virginia. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity to all charges on the grounds that he was under Muhammad's complete control. In 2006, Malvo confessed that the pair also killed victims in California, Arizona, and Texas, for a total of 17 victims. Currently, Lee Boyd Malvo is incarcerated at the Red Onion State Prison, located in Virginia.